What's going on, everybody? Today is November 16th, Thursday, and you are listening and watching the Daily AI Show live. And I feel like this whole week I've had trouble getting those words out of my mouth. I thought it would get better, and it hasn't gotten better since Monday. It's a simple job. Just say the date and what the date is. But I think I'm telling you, it's that Thanksgiving brain. I can't even come up with the right holiday. But your brain starts to drift just ever so slightly towards vacation, which for me doesn't start for almost a week. So I'm really in trouble. I've got senioritis as it is, and I'm having a hard time focusing. But we have Junmi, we have Andy, we have Beth, and I'm Brian, and we'll see who else pops in here. And today's topic is about AI ops. And, the rebirth, the birth, the however you want to say it, of like sort of systems thinking. So we want to kind of put those two things together. And I was saying just before we went live here that I thought it would be a great idea to maybe just start with some definitions or some just general overviews here, so we can get the whole crew as well as all of our audience sort of on the same page that we are. And let's just sort of kick it off. I'm going to use the AI ops definition that's in the AI Exchange playbook. So real quick, a background, if you're not familiar with the AI Exchange, I know a lot of our audience is. That's where we all met each other, for quick reference. So the AI Exchange was started by Rachel Woods and her sister and some other people. And really, Rachel has done an excellent job months ago about talking about what this AI ops is. It may sound like a rev ops, but what is AI ops? So within the AI Exchange, if you join the AI Exchange, you have access to this frankly amazing playbook that has everything you would want to know about AI, and it's being updated, and as well as the community and courses and things like that. But the playbook is an amazing resource. So I'm going to read right off of this really quick, just to make sure we sort of have a baseline. What is AI ops? AI operations, also known as AI ops, refers to the use of artificial intelligence, AI, to automate and enhance a business's operations. It involves the development and deployment of AI-powered systems, co-pilots, workflows to help us with our work. The goal of AI ops is to augment people and teams, to elevate humans into managerial roles. I think that's key, allowing them to delegate the execution of tasks to AI systems where appropriate, thereby optimizing productivity and effectiveness. And there's a little bit more here, but I'll just name the couple key, because they said, what are some of the key benefits of an AI ops? And this is not what's the word? It's not all of them, all encompassing. But words like efficiency, obviously we know AI can do a lot towards efficiency, productivity, streamlining workflows, accuracy, minimizing human errors, scalability. It can handle large volumes and it'll keep going and going and going for you. Insights, analyzing data and generating insights. And then finally, number 6 was cost savings over time. Automation and efficiency gains from AI ops can lead to significant cost savings. So that's a lot, but that's what we're talking about when we're talking about AI ops, because it's sort of a new term. I mean, it's something that really, Rachel was honestly the first person I heard talking about it on TikTok and her in her videos on there, and really trying to put a good definition around it. And I think they've nailed it, frankly. I'm probably biased a little bit, but I kind of think they've nailed it. I like the words in there too about over time, like cost savings over time. And I think maybe I'll stop talking. Maybe that's a fun place to jump in with the AI ops side. And then let's tackle the systems thinking side as well. But what's your guys' take? Do you guys feel like that's a great definition? Do you feel like there's anything missing from that definition as you think about AI ops?
I'll add that I think that's a good definition. I think what companies have to start thinking about is who is responsible internally for that role. Now, let's just posit that there might be an AI ops manager that you add or delegate that role to somebody in the IT function, possibly, but it has to be somebody who's really au courant with all of the latest developments in AI, especially LLM ops, because most of the business process improvements that you'll see more easily implemented, and I'm going to segue into how it's not so easy to implement, to do it well, and with security and with privacy and with the reliability. But you've got to have somebody who really knows which tools to use, what the stack is for AI ops, and who's going to monitor and improve those over time, because the tool set is changing constantly and there's new and greater things coming along. And you have a big decision to make internally in the company about whether you're going to designate somebody to be this AI ops manager who's going to be the leader in doing something that's kind of bespoke inside your organization, or whether you're just going to rely on the major vendors out there of systems for various functional departments. Let's just take, customer support, for example. Hey, we have Zendesk. Zendesk's adding AI, so I don't really have to think about it. I'm just going to let that happen. Well, you're going to be missing a good part of the good value of AI ops if you don't have somebody inside who can say, hey, here's a business process that really can benefit from this. And I can share a document that I've shared on this show before, which is a business capabilities map that really talks to the systems thinking and the business process management side of this. But that I'll stop there and turn it over to somebody else. But I think AI ops is a real thing, and you're going to see that as a real job inside major corporations.
So I'll jump in here. Jimmy, what are you going to do?
I was just going to quickly add on to what Andy was saying. All great stuff there. I would add on that the person to fill that role or some of the responsibilities to fill that role is they would need to be cross-discipline and a cross-team leader, mainly because AI ops touches every single department.
And I was going to say something similar. So I'm not sure manager is the appropriate level, although Andy knows so much more about levels in businesses than I do. But because of that cross, like you're really going to need to understand the entire business and the functions of the entire business. And I'm wondering if that person would report directly to the COO or someone like that, just to have the I don't know, power, I guess.
That's an interesting question. I think you would want to start with somebody at a lower level who is going to be in dialogue with everybody at every level of the organization, because that's the person who's the Sherpa for everything that's going on. And if the role expands to the point where it actually merits a corporate title that's associated with the compensation level that you're willing to pay for that role, that's what I would be thinking about as the COO. I know that I'd start out with somebody at the director level, because we just don't know how much productivity effectiveness is going to be delivered by that particular person. So start as a manager. If you're really knocking it out of the park, we'll promote you.
And I'll add a little bit more here just real quick, because I pulled it up because you were talking about it, Andy. In the playbook as well, they have a great sort of hypothetical job title. I won't go into all of it, but just when we talk about responsibilities, design, develop, and manage, this would be somebody who's handling the whole spectrum, okay? But design, develop, manage AI-powered systems, collaborating with multiple teams, kind of like we were saying, Junmi, because you have to be able to understand both the business aspects plus the technical aspects. And you have to be able to build that bridge between the two so that you can make the analogies and say, well, this is like this, and this is the path I think we should take with an AI solution. Using the tools, ensuring compliance. We didn't really say that, but that's a huge one with AI ethics and legal standards, staying up to date, and that might be your internal champion right now, who is just the one at your business talking the most about AI. That would be me at my company. And it's kind of how I got into my role as an AI strategist. I was literally the person talking all the time and be like, hey guys, have you seen this? I was like the annoying guy at my company, be like, look at this cool thing. Those are to the point where my company is like, can you build stuff? Like, I was like, yeah, I could, and then sort of moved into that role. That's not what I did before this. I was a LinkedIn strategist. So, I'm kind of a case study for this type of stuff. But soft skills, excellent written communication skills, problem solving skills, ability to prioritize, project management skills, work collaboratively, right? And then hard skills, experience with automation tools like Zapier, Make, and such, comfortable with APIs, kind of like what you were getting at, Andy, experience with OpenAI Playground, basic is a plus. Basic or coding experience is a plus, like Python or JavaScript, certainly where I fall flat on that. And I do wish I had learned Python several years ago when I started to try. AI principles and understanding them, cloud platforms like AWS, Google Cloud, Azure, things like this, and knowledge of AI ethics and compliance is a plus. I think this is a great starting point and kind of hits in what you guys were already saying as far as what it would ultimately take. And the last thing I wanted to say really quick was I kind of agree that this is probably going to start with somebody lower level. It might be that internal champion who has a love for this and a passion, because that's a great person to start with. And then as it grows, I'm with you, Andy. I think absolutely, just like RevOps is just having its heyday right now, and Scaled is part of that. AI ops will be a part of every single major corporation, and it will absolutely make its way down to lower level, mid-tier companies, and even smaller companies where it might just be one person wearing the hat. But at larger companies, this will be a department. And the head of AI ops will probably be reporting to somebody up, higher in the chain of command for sure. At least that's the way I see it. So, Carl, I think you were about to say something. I kind of stopped you there.
Carl, yeah, go ahead.
I don't know, from a role perspective, I'm like, from the people that I'm seeing in mostly medium-sized small businesses, there will be no one that'll be that person using AI, but I don't think you're even there. Let me put it this way. There'll be those one-off companies that will have that role, but I think I'm still at the education level where to even get to operations, you got to get people to use it on a bigger scale and have the buy-in from the people to actually use it, not just as an individual silo, but an actual company-wide, hey, this is what we're actually going to do, and we're actually going to engage with this. And just looking at several enterprise level companies too, I don't know, like the term, like everything makes sense, but we all know enterprises and businesses don't make any sense. They like what the most sensible route isn't always the route you take, because there's a lot of different factors to that. And so I feel, and my sense right now is that the people who control the AI in terms of what it could be in terms of operations it'll be the CTO, it'll be compliance, it'll be the data team, like that team. Sure, there's going to be people in different places using it, but that's what I'm getting a sense, because that's where the rules come from. That's where the compliance comes from. That's where the policies are coming from. So the question is, do those teams, and lucky if you have an AI council or an AI group or an AI center of excellence or whatever it is, lucky for those companies who have that can guide that. But I feel a lot of major enterprises, that's where it's coming from, because you need the rules first. And then by default, then you can start delegating those tasks and operations. Unless the CEO or the C-suite's like, yeah, we got to go push in every single, but not very many companies are that super progressive. Like, think outside the tech companies, like,
yeah, I think we're seeing too, at least with Scaled, that there's at least some desire for fractional positions within AI ops. That maybe not calling it AI ops per se, but we've definitely talked. I know our CEOs talked to people where that's come up in conversation, which is we acknowledge this. We know this is something we need to be spending time on. We do not have the internal resources to do this. Also, though, we don't want to hire somebody full time at this point. And that could be where, somebody can come in like you, Carl, or Andy, or Jimmy, or Beth, and you guys can be that like fractional resource at 10 hours, a week or something like that, or whatever it comes out to, where you step into that role and just start helping them define the policies and working with the people to just start laying that groundwork, of what maybe a future AI ops department might look like. That could be hugely, beneficial to a company where they're just like, listen, we know it's important. We just don't know where to start. This is a new thing. People have only been talking about it really in earnest since 2023. So it's new to everybody, but it also can be a competitive advantage for a lot of companies. I know I talk about it a lot, but when we went up and talked to Madison Square Garden, just talking to their senior VP, he was amazing about talking. I want to give him credit, because he said to us in a room, he was like, look, I don't even necessarily think that my sales team right now needs these AI solutions, but they're gonna. And I don't want to be caught in a position down the road where we don't have a game plan in place and ready to implement and start putting these things in place. So he was sitting there in the room, and he flew us up to talk to his team for something that he didn't really even think was going to be full-fledged, something they needed to have for 6 months or beyond. In his case, they're selling with 2 different sports teams that were doing pretty well, the Knicks and the Rangers. So they were already selling season tickets and suite seats and stuff like that. But he's like, it's cyclical, right? These teams aren't always going to be great or good enough to fill out these things. And we're going to have trouble, and we're going to need more help in our sales team filling these spots. I want to make sure that I'm not standing here flat-footed while the rest of our competitors run full force ahead. I just, hearing somebody like that say, like you said, Carl, that's not common, but it was awesome to hear that that's the way he was thinking about AI and solutions, even for his team, even at a time where he didn't necessarily need it per se.
So do you think we could split what we're talking about in terms of adoption? So Carl, it seems like you're talking about this is right now, and you would need a certain level of adoption to get to where we were talking about earlier. Yeah.
Yeah. And this is one of those signs when you might know that it's time to bring in an AI ops consultant, right? So you're feeling pressure that you feel like your business should be doing something, right? Or like Brian, like you can see it, right? Mm-hmm. So you'd like at some point in the future to have done something already, right? Maybe that's where you are in your business. And that can be an AI ops consultant role, whether it's somebody who comes in and does some advising, does some analysis with your company, and that can move into a fractional kind of relationship where that person has the vision of what's happening holistically, and your individual department, tech, data, security, who we all know are pretty overwhelmed all the time, don't have to add something else on their plate.
Because you're right. Oh, sorry, Andy, go ahead.
Just a quick distinction to make between AI application design for business process improvement and AI ops, which follows the initial implementation of the AI application. You can bring in consultants who can determine pretty directly where there's some low-hanging fruit to create an application that will provide some benefit. But then they're still early enough that they're a little fragile, and somebody has to be monitoring and evaluating the outputs of these things in real time. And that's what I mean when I say AI ops. So who's looking after these systems once they're turned on? Go ahead, Carl.
Mm-hmm. I think I was thinking back to what Brian mentioned about, hey, we're not actually going to pay this role. There's an opportunity for somebody to take it on. And that's kind of where I like. And then thinking about like what Beth said in terms of, now I can't remember what Beth said, but I was went back and forth. But
it was brilliant.
It was so brilliant that I forgot it. But that's the thing is, I haven't heard very many companies, they'll assign a subject matter expert to do AI, but from a dollars perspective, I hear a lot of reports saying this is going to be worth X billion, X trillion. And yeah, you can buy the software, but are you actually going to legit put people to do it? Not at the side of their desk, like actually do it. And I don't think everyone's there yet because they don't know. And it comes right back to how many companies, apparently there's a lot of companies, a couple hundred that have Microsoft Copilot. Mm-hmm. Then there was a couple podcasts I listened to, and they're like, yeah, people who've talked to employees like, yeah, we just use it for email. And they're like, it's apparently so good that you got to use it for email. I'm like, So something is out there that like is I don't know if it's a miss, it's an education miss, because unless you get more people to use the thing, it doesn't make any sense for an AI ops role to get people to use a thing they actually know how to use it. And if they don't get the benefit out of it, they're not going to use it. Even you could put all the tools in front of them, right? And that's something that we're thinking about. It's like, oh, one of the thoughts was, hey, let's take ChatGPT for enterprise and give it to everybody. I'm like, no, that is not a good idea, because not everybody will know how to use it. And it's like, there will be people who will want to use it, like the very few. But if you don't train anybody to use it, if they come back in a month and be like, well, yeah, only 20% used it, we're like, no, that's on us. That's not on people. We need to actually give them the skills to use that. And so like people who have enterprise GPT or people who have Microsoft Copilot, I think that's an awesome place to start systems thinking, AI operations. I just gave you a segue. Brian, take it away.
You nailed it. You nailed it. I was about to say, this is a great segue to the last 9 minutes to talk about systems thinking. Thank you, Carl. Man, I'll tell you what, I love it when a plan comes together. So let's talk a little bit about systems thinking. And, I was doing a little research on this, and wanted to make sure that I was using the right terminology and stuff like that as always. And, it was online with what I thought. And I'm looking at this, it's from the Southern New Hampshire University, and they just had a great article about systems thinking. And one of the words that really popped off the page, I think you already said it, Beth, was holistic. And it's about having a holistic view of the problems that you're trying to solve, and not just having a linear perspective of, point A is where let's call point B is where I'm starting, which is the solution. I need this thing to be happening, and I want AI to do it. And then point A, I guess, reverse, depending on how you're looking at the screen here. Point A is some starting point. And then there's this whole process and things that need to happen and questions that need to be asked, deep questions that need to be asked from point A to get from point A to point B. But I love the idea with systems thinking that it really is more than just a linear path. It's thinking about the people on the fringes, the jobs on the fringes. If you're going to go in and deploy a disruption like an AI solution, a big AI solution, there's a very good chance that you are going to disrupt coworkers' jobs in some way. It could be because you've made it very easy to do their job, and now there's some definite pushback. People don't like that. Clearly, they don't want to feel like they're being phased out because AI, the robots, can now do it. And so I think there's a lot of education in there about, no, we're not trying to eliminate your position. We're trying to free you up so you can go do the thing that you're actually really good at doing. And honestly, for the last couple of years, we've had you on this task because we had no other way to accomplish it. Now that we have an AI solution, we feel that we can take the best of you and get it into produce to the company. And that's going to be amazing. See, when you turn the narrative around, it changes everything. Somebody goes from feeling like they can be replaced by AI to saying like, no. What it actually is that we feel that we've been underutilizing you. That's not your fault. You've had to do these tasks. They're important. Somebody had to do them. But now that we have another solution for that, that's going to free up this amount of time, what can you actually do? What would you want to do? Where does your brain take you? And that makes somebody feel empowered. It depends on the company and how they handle it. I guess some companies are going to eliminate jobs. The point of systems thinking is it's about taking big ideas, breaking them down into small tasks, trying to keep things simple where they need to be simple, not overcomplicating it, but also having the foresight to look out beyond your scope of what you've been tasked to accomplish and saying, well, who else does this affect? And what are the tentacles and the ripples, I should say, beyond that? So anyway, that's where my brain is on systems thinking, but I would love to hear you guys, as we have the last, 5-10 minutes here.
So this comes back to something that we talked about before. Andy and I have rung this bell several times. Again, it's something that you can get from an AI ops consultant, but the business process analysis and having outside view on that is actually really helpful to identify what the processes are, because the problems you're trying to solve occur in a context of a larger business process. And that that's like hugely valuable just in general, to know the processes that your business is engaged in. But also when you're coming in and going to automate part of it, or port some of it, give some of the generation necessary to an AI, what you're going to want to do is put it within that business process, but also in systems thinking is establish feedback loops and human in the loop as feedback, so that you are keeping tabs on what this is. Not only is AI changing every like 4 days, but also within AI, it's changing. So what works today may need a tweak in 4 days. And the way you know that is because of your feedback loop before the customer says, "What did you send me?"
Yeah, that's super important. That's really awesome.
I'll add that there is a need to prioritize those business processes that are actual drivers of revenue and margin. Right. So that's a part of the systems thinking, is you have to have a map of what the business is doing and which one of those things that are being done really drives the business. You can get some small wins early on with small processes that aren't really that important, and that's probably a good way to cut your teeth. But what you really want to zero in on is, where can I really get the maximum benefit for the least amount of AI implementation and monitoring and operational demand? That would be the prioritization step that I think is an essential part of systems thinking, in addition to seeing what all the different sort of downstream effects are of implementing whatever solution you choose.
You're right.
Real quick, if I could just ask a quick follow-up question, Andy, like off the top of your head, what do you think the best bang for the buck is for an AI implementation? Now, I realize there's a variety of use cases in business and stuff, but if you just have to think about one, is there any one that comes to mind where you're like, you know what, this is a low lift for a high yield?
It's a difficult question to answer because of the differences in the drivers of different businesses. Different industries have different demands in order to succeed in the marketplace. But I'll just use my personal experience in the beverage industry, which is where I was the COO of LifeAid. I think that the most important factor is understanding what your competitive stance is in the minds of consumers making decisions at the grocery store shelf or the convenience store shelf. So AI, more sophisticated AI implementations are happening in the consumer packaged goods industry. The ones that are being done on internal business processes are gaining some benefit, but the long-term strategic benefit of doing something that really drives the improvement of the value proposition of your product, I think, is where you really ought to be focusing. We don't talk about those a lot because we're really talking about sort of almost perfunctory processes that are, you hear it said in lots of the videos that you hear about AI, automate the things that you hate to do that are just so rote and repetitious. Well, those aren't that important, really. If those are being covered, let them sit. But now try to find a way that the incredible super intelligence of AI can figure out a way for you to break through in your market.
It's really insightful. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So we have about we have a minute, like 30. We usually go over by a few. It's really like a 35-minute show, let's be honest. But we have a few minutes here to sort of wrap up. So Carl, I think you were going to jump in and say something, but if you guys just want to kind of give your sort of wrap up thoughts about the idea of systems thinking, how that applies to AI ops, and we'll kind of end it there.
The one thing I want to add is when we talk about AI ops and talk about systems thinking, I just wanted to riff off what Andy said, that you have to have the least amount, because regardless of how much what the operations you've created, there still has to be people who have to review it on a regular basis. I don't think we're anywhere near comfortable just letting automations, operations, chatbots, whatever it is, just go with minimal supervision. They're like, it would be foolish for any company to just, you know, let it go for weeks and be like, oh, no problems. We don't know what's going on, but I'm sure it's doing its thing. This is like every couple of days at the minimum that so it requires resources, right? And that's like, and then that's technically part of their job, unless that person's really excited about it. But that's part of like, hey, this resource is now in charge of doing this.
Yeah. So my takeaway, or to also kind of riff on what Andy was implying, I guess, or what I heard when Andy was talking, was the very close relationship between your RevOps people and your AI ops people. And what we talked about initially was like, it seems like maybe it's going to be the IT people or the data people or the security people. They're definitely involved and they have important points of view, but your RevOps people are actually going to know what the systems are that are involved in your revenue so that AI implementation can, in fact, increase profits.
I'd say real quick call out. I know, Jimmy, you want to go, but I'll just say real quick on that, Beth. Case in point, AI Ops in Scaled is initially coming under the umbrella of RevOps, exactly for the reason you just said. So RevOps is a bigger department for us and what we do. It's what we also sell. It's our product. But internally, AI Ops is it's being built, which right now is like me and, you know, the CEO and other people, but it's basically me. Starts under the RevOps department, and I hope so. I hope that I'm so busy and so successful within the company one day that I need my own department to run it. But even if not, it makes sense to me that it would sort of start on the RevOps. And so anyway, I just want to bring that up really quick. Go ahead, Jimmy.
Well, I was actually just going to focus on what Carl said earlier. I think he makes a really good point of where we are right now versus what we see ourselves going to be in a few months or a year or whatnot. And that really comes down to the adoption and the education, right? Becoming aware. And Andy made some really good insights in what is the power of AI and AI tools and how that can, you know, how you should be looking at it as opposed to just, you know, the low hanging fruit. So I think if you are just starting out, and which I think is most people and most companies, educate yourself, get in there, dive in, watch all our shows, you know, and get spun up so that you can take that next step, so that you can analyze your business and go, oh, I want to do these kinds of things. Let's see what AI can do for me. And I'll leave it at that.
Love it. Yeah, I mean, look, this is, I think, episode 69. I think tomorrow makes 70. So, I mean, you know, not to pat ourselves on the back, but if you did watch all 69 episodes, okay, maybe there's a dud in there. Maybe one. Maybe we've had one dud show so far. So 68 of them are knock out of the park, home run, grand slam. No, I mean, I think this is a good resource. There's also several others, obviously, the AI Exchange and so many others and so many people on LinkedIn. And I follow what Carl posts, and like, and then Carl, you post other people's. You're like, this is interesting on Twitter or X, right? You know, and I'll go follow that link. And so, you know, it's that I agree with you, Jimmy. It's just sort of that, like, if nothing else, be endlessly curious about AI, because change is hard, adoption is hard. People will fight it. I don't care if you tell them it can make their life 1,000% better. They'll be like, meh, I'm kind of already doing it the way I'm doing it. They will just not, you know. I fought uphill battles with that in LinkedIn strategy for the last several years of my career. I don't expect AI to be any different. All right, that's it for today, guys. We'll be back tomorrow with Aloha Friday. I will not be here, but I'm sure a lot of the crew will. Should be a great show as always. And yeah, I think I'll just give a quick shout out, if it's okay with you guys, to a great organization called Metropolitan Ministries. You know, this time of year, obviously, there's so many good, amazing organizations doing amazing things for the holidays for people who are food insecure, as well as many other ways. And Metropolitan Ministries is near and dear to my heart, and I have an opportunity, as I do every year, to go volunteer in their tents. It's quite literally one of my favorite parts of the year. So that's what I'll be doing tomorrow morning, and just want to give them a shout out because Metropolitan Ministries is really, really a wonderful organization. I don't know how far they are outside of the Tampa Bay area where I am, but if you're looking from somewhere to donate money, I feel confident in telling you that's a great start. So that's it, guys. We'll see you tomorrow, or they'll see you tomorrow, and then we'll be back next week. We got some fun shows lined up for Thanksgiving and the holiday week if you're here in the States. If not, it'll just be a normal Thursday to you, and we'll still have fun. It'll be a fun Thursday. All right. See you guys. Bye.
I love it.